to be a very fun live. This is going to be one of those lives that are very depressing, specifically for me and a lot of other people, I'm sure. But David Lynch has passed away at the age of 78. Um, and so he was having problems apparently with breathing. He was diagnosed with emphysema, and now emphysema is a lung something that affects the lungs and makes it very hard for sometimes for people to breathe. And hello, hey Kevin, how you doing? Just reporting on another um, just like a very important person to cinema who just passed away. But I'm glad you joined me, Kevin. Thank you. But yeah, David Lynch has passed away at the age of 78. And this hits home pretty hard for me because I freaking love David Lynch. I think he's just a very special person, and he's done so much to keep uh, not only just cinema but art itself, uh, you know, kind of on its toes. Now, if you're not familiar with David Lynch, I mean, he had his start as a basically he came out with his first movie Eraserhead when he was still a student. He was still going to film school, and he came out with a movie called Eraserhead, and it made the circuit and went around to many different, smaller theaters, kind of artsy theaters, and it was a hit. Now, it wasn't a hit like it wasn't a commercial hit, but it was a hit with the underground circuit. And if you haven't seen Eraserhead, I highly recommend to check it out because it's an artsy movie for sure. You got to be ready for some artsy stuff. But what Eraserhead did really well was it really captured that kind of loneliness so well, and captured kind of like a nightmare, you know. Um, Hi, hey guys, how you doing? The one and only guess. How's it going? So we're talking about the passing of David Lynch, and just like what a powerhouse he was for cinema. I mean, he really, for me, he kept cinema, like I said, on its toes. It was like, you have your kind of mainstream movies, I guess you could say. You got your more mainstream directors, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love that too. You know, I mean, I I I, I have no problems with mainstream movies by any means, but when David Lynch came out with a movie, it was going to make you think. It wasn't just going to be a popcorn film. It's going to be one of those films where you're going to sit there and it forces you to think, because the films are so a lot of his films were so kind of, I don't know, I would say that they're surreal in a way. Some of his films were surreal, but um, I just, if you ever see Mulholland Drive, it's probably one of his weirder movies. I mean, actually, one of my true favorites of his is Lost Highway, and nobody really talks about that one. Um, but he also did other things that are more mainstream. He did do some movies that were mainstream. He did The Elephant Man. He did the original Elephant Man. And if you haven't seen that, please go watch it. I obviously recommend most of David Lynch. I mean, he made a few. Every director is going to make a few, movies that aren't the best in the world, but um, and I think his was probably Dune. Was, you know you got to really be into that stuff. I'm talking about the original Dune. I think it was probably out in the early '80s, but he's done so many things. You know, Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is like was a hit. I mean, that was a probably the thing that most people know him for is Twin Peaks. If you've ever seen the episodes of Twin Peaks, yo, what's going on? Hello, hello, Twin. What's this? Oh yeah, yeah, Twin Peaks, Kevin. Exactly. That's what he's most known for. Um, but I like to talk about his not known stuff so much. I mean, everybody kind of knows about Twin Peaks, man. But if you really want to dive into David Lynch, I mean, you can watch some of his student films, and you can watch Eraserhead. Eraserhead is like the that's like really what got David Lynch got his foot into kind of like the filming industry or the film industry, whatever. And he did that, like I said, while he was still a student. So I mean, he really did great. But so yeah, he was diagnosed with emphysema, and apparently he died shortly after he was evacuated from the fires. There's no word on exactly what. Hello again. Pikachu, is that what? Yeah, it's Pikachu. Okay, hello Pikachu. How you doing? Um, his name is Ralph. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, let's see. Can you do a shout out to a friend? He's in the hospital. He has stage. Are you serious? Stage 4 cancer? Yeah, definitely. Hello, Ralph. I hope you're feeling better. Hope um you know my thoughts will definitely be with you if that's a yeah. Let's see. Hello, man. I'm French and voice actor. My voice is. Anyway, we're talking about if anybody is on here talking about David Lynch. That's what we're talking about. But yeah, man, he is one of those. He was one of those directors that I don't know, man. He was something special. In fact, I would say that a lot of my paintings were very let's I turn this thing around. There was this crazy bird out there. I don't know if I can see him. This crazy bird flying around. But anyway, I guess we're not going to catch the bird. Anyway, back to David Lynch. Yeah, I would say that he probably it's back on there. Yeah, he really influenced me as an artist myself. I went to school as a painter, and he did do some oil paintings and stuff too. So he was like an all around artist. Obviously, his main thing was film, very artsy kind of, but also um, it's just I don't know. He like I said, I think he really made a lot of people think. But is anybody out there? Yeah, I think you already said that, man. Anyway, yeah. So I wanted to just kind of come on here and talk about him a little bit because he was so dear to my heart, man. And I like a lot of my paintings. I kind of my oil paintings um were kind of inspired by a lot of his movies, and some of his movies were nightmarish. They're not scary movies, but they almost have like a nightmare quality. Like it's like a fever dream, more like, where you want to just wake up from it, but you're kind of stuck in it. And that was a lot of his movies. They just kind of had that kind of feel about them. And Mulholland Drive was probably one of his bigger hits of as a movie maker. I think Mulholland Drive was the one that most people talk about as far as his films go. But Twin Peaks, people were very into Twin Peaks, and Fire Walk with Me was a movie that was also tied to Twin Peaks. That was a pretty good movie if you're into Twin Peaks. That is, it's kind of like um, it's kind of like a prequel to Twin Peaks. And if you're a nerd of Twin Peaks, that's a good movie to watch. I think it's called Fire Walk with Me, something like that. But yeah, and I mean, Blue Velvet was another big hit of his. He's done a lot of movies that not a lot of people, especially these days, probably. I'm just guessing, but just probably don't pay attention to a lot of his movies today. Anyway, and to be honest, after cinema is kind of in a weird place now. You don't have the David Lynches out there too much anymore. Um, but just an incredible director, and I don't know. He's definitely one of my favorite directors. I mean, you got let me turn this down. It's a little cold. Got the AC on, but like John Carpenter, Sam Raimi, and David Lynch. Man, those are my three of my favorite directors right there. Because they just didn't pander, not pander, but they didn't. What would you call that? They basically just did what they did. They did what they did, and they had their fans, their hardcore fans, because of that. But yeah, man, it's so sad to hear. And when I heard that, I was like, oh man, and it's all because he had to be moved from his home. He had to evacuate his home, and he had emphysema and from smoking. Apparently, I didn't know he was such a heavy smoker, but I guess he was a heavy smoker. And they once he evacuated his home, he said, and he was homebound for like he was at his home for. I remember hearing about it in 2024, early 2024, how he said he's not even able to go outside. He can't breathe. He wasn't able to breathe very well. And yeah, now that he had to evacuate his home, turns out, that was probably a bad thing for him, but who knows, man? There's no word on what he died from. It might have just been smoking. No matter what, he may have passed away staying home too. So, but you know, it's just sad. It's a sad moment. Yeah, no, I sent out a post yesterday. I don't know if you saw that, Kevin. Um, I sent out a post about John Carpenter, and I wished him a happy birthday on my community tab. You can go check it out. Yep, 77 years old, and Lynch was 78. They kind of came out around the same time, I guess. So it's like makes sense. And it's funny because David Lynch made a name for himself making a low budget movie, and so did John Carpenter. Um, John Carpenter made a name for himself with a low budget movie, and both of them, I would say, Carpenter's was probably more because his movie was played in regular cinemas, and Lynch's was played at like more of your kind of, I don't know how else to say it, artsy kind of theaters and stuff. And that the thing is with Eraserhead is that movie made everybody a lot of money. And from my understanding, one of the actors that played in Eraserhead said that to this day, and this was a documentary, And I think I saw it like a couple years ago, but she's like, to this day, we're still making money off of that movie. So it's done wonders for everybody that was involved in that movie, which is cool, man. I mean, I love to hear it. That so many people were that interested in a movie that's basically about a fever dream. And the effects in the movie too. There's not that many of them, but the effects that are in the movie are amazing. I mean, I to this day have no idea what that little thing was made out of. If you've seen Eraserhead, I don't want to give away too much, but so like this little baby in there, and it's disgusting, and I don't know what it is. Um, I'm sure somebody's read up on it on what it is, but I I never heard what it is, but it's disgusting, but it's also just very unique and awesome to the movie. Um, but what I love about Eraserhead, and I love Eraserhead even more after I read about this, is the fact that David Lynch made that movie, um, and it was kind of a self portrait type thing, or whatever you would want to call that. I say self portrait because it's so artsy, but he he kind of was inspired by a time when his daughter was going to be born, and kind of like how he felt almost trapped. And when his daughter was born, she had like an ailment or something like that. But so that movie was kind of geared towards some real life issues that he had. And I don't know, man, that just makes that movie so much better, when you hear about like, oh, okay, like, and the thing is David Lynch never really talked about too much about what his movies were about. He's just he always said, I don't. It's like a painter. When I have a painting and I'm finished with it, I put it out there, and I'm not trying to hold people's hand. I want them to figure out whatever they want to figure out on the painting. Um, it's and I feel like that's kind of like the same with him. And I know a lot of people are like, "Well, what was Mulholland Drive really about?" And blah blah blah. And I mean, you come to your own conclusions, and that's what I loved about David Lynch. He always wanted you to come to your own conclusions. But I mean, he did talk, kind of speak on like what Eraserhead was all about, and I kind of appreciated that a little bit too. I mean, I'm not against like people saying, "Hey, this is what my painting's about," or "This is what my movie's about," when it's such a surreal type of movie. Um, but let's see, oh, you did see that. All right, thank you, Kevin. Hi from Iran. All right, hello from America. Let's see. Yeah, please share it. I don't know how you're gonna share your poem, but that would be awesome. Um, if you want to share it, be kind of cool if you made a video about it. I don't know if you can place a link here, but his movies were like a conversation piece. Yeah, conversational piece. Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, like I said, I do think that my favorite movie from him, it's just it gave me a feeling because his movies were kind of visceral. And I think that's what he was kind of going for most of the time. It was more than just a viewing of a movie, but it was kind of like takes you into this space, kind of very visceral type feel. I really liked Lost Highway. I thought that movie was so bizarrely awesome. I don't know why I liked it so much, but that movie was before Mulholland Drive, and it kind of has the same kind of thing happen in that movie where he likes to play around with actors and changing the actors like in the middle of a movie, you know. I don't really care what you think about my beard, sir or ma'am. But yeah, yeah, it's just an incredible movie. I feel like I feel like yeah, yeah, I agree with you though. It's very kind of conversational piece. I'm trying to think of anybody else out there that may be anywhere like kind of like him. I mean, there are a few other directors out there um, that kind of make their own thing still. I guess Quentin Tarantino. I mean, he's not anywhere near like he's not anything like uh David Lynch, but he does do his own thing, and I think I enjoy kind of like that, someone kind of doing their own thing, rather than just trying to please a bunch of dudes in a suit, Um, but yeah, I think he was one of the greats, and I think he's gonna always be known as one of the greats. And I remember anyway, I started a story and I started talking about how he said in early 2024. I remember hearing, I think I heard it on the radio, how he was saying that he couldn't go outside. He wasn't able to leave his house because he couldn't breathe anymore or something like that. And I remember hearing about that. Yeah, it was about a year ago when he said that. And I was like, oh, wow, that sucks, you know? Um, and then I didn't even think about it. Like, honestly, I didn't even know he lived. I didn't know where he lived. I knew he lived in LA somewhere, but I didn't know exactly where. And it didn't even dawn on me when the fires were going on. It didn't dawn on me that, oh man, I hope so and so. I didn't think of anybody. I just thought like, oh man, this is a, tragedy, just an overall tragedy. And now you know, I don't know if his actual house burnt down. It could have been like I said, it could have been the smoke. It could have been just moving him away from his house. I don't know if he was on. I don't know if he had an oxygen mask that he was using to help him breathe because he said he couldn't breathe and that's why he was homebound kind of thing and he couldn't leave. But yeah, as soon as they evacuated him from his home, apparently he passed away, which is so crazy, man. I mean, you would think that. I mean, you would think that like there would be a little more. I don't know. I'll wait until the. I don't want to. I don't want to overspeak. I don't want to like start saying stuff. I'm certainly not a conspiracy theory channel here, but we'll wait until the autopsy comes out. But because um, there's no say on what he died from just yet. I mean, everybody's got their you know suspicion, of course, but anyway, does anybody want to say anything else besides my beard? You want to talk about David Lynch? Is there a movie out there that maybe you watched of David Lynch and really kind of, you know, hit you in a way? It's like I think probably my favorite movie is Lost Highway. I love Eraserhead. Um, I really liked Mulholland Drive. Um, I oh yeah, I mean Blue Velvet was awesome. I just Mulholland Drive was I thought it was a good movie. I just don't think it was his best. I'm like that was a movie that kind of was one of his later movies that everybody seemed to watch. But cool hat, eh, it's an old hat. I've had this thing probably now for 2 years. Thank you though, I appreciate it. Um, Yeah, I wear this because when I'm driving around, it's sunny all the time in California. So I gotta like tilt it this way if the sun's over here, tilt it that way. That's why I wear this hat the most, because it's just so good at tilting and keeping the sun out of my eyes when I'm driving. And because it's wintertime and we have no cloud, look. I mean, I did turn the phone around a little bit earlier because it was this crazy bird flipping around out here, but I was hoping to catch it. But flipping around, I mean, it is blue skies, man, and here we are. That's why part of the reason why we had the big fires here, because it's just dry and warm out. It does not want to become winter. It's just stuck. It's stuck in summer. Oh, I'm trying to put this phone back into the thing here. Hold on. So we're kind of stuck. We're kind of stuck in summer mode. Yeah, man. Yeah, the weather's been really crazy. Um, caused a lot of damage. Certainly caused a lot of damage. I did a little video on it. Didn't do very well. I think I have learned my lesson to not do any disaster videos and to stick to pop culture, because nobody watched that video. Oh, you live in Switzerland. Well, welcome. Thank you for watching. Is it cold over there? Yeah, I don't even want to say. Well, it's not that warm here right now, but it is sunny out. It's sunny and dry. But today's actually colder. It's only 62, which if you look outside, you would never even think that it was only 62. But yeah, it's. But in a couple days, it's going to be like 75, which isn't incredibly hot. But for winter, yeah, it's hot. So, and we had a dry summer. We had a pretty hot summer. I can't even imagine what the summer is going to be like this next summer. Like, if we don't get any rain, we are, pardon my French, but we will be up shit creek for sure if we don't get any rain. Because this fire that we had happened during winter, which is, I'm not so sure that's ever really happened. Most of our fires happen in the summertime. This fire happened in the winter because we had no rain. And the funny thing is, not really funny, haha, but the weird thing is, I should say, is last year was extremely wet, extremely rainy. We had snow in parts of LA. It was incredibly a wet year last year. We had snow, just tons of snow in the hills, and snow is where we Californians we rely on that snow to melt in the summer and kind of give us a continuous flow of water. That's always the way California's worked, and I'm sure that's the way a lot of other places work too. But we had and the LA River. If you ever look at the LA River, most of the time of the year, it's like a trickle. It's like a trickle down, the canal. Last year it was flowing like a river. It was a roaring rapid river, is what it was. It was just a constant flow of heavy water. I mean, there was a point where it looked like some of the bridges in the area were going to get flooded out. That's how much water there was. But this year, what are we? We're in the middle of January. What is it? January 15th right now? And we have seen maybe one day of sprinkle. There was one day where they said, "Oh, it's going to rain finally." And we're like, oh, "Okay, cool." And then, like, I woke up in the morning and the roads were kind of slightly damp, and that was it. Like, that was it. And I think that was all the way back in October. Since then, maybe it was November. I can't really remember, but It's not good, guys. This is not good. People always say, "Oh, I just want hot weather. I want it to be hot all the time. I just want warm weather." It's like, yeah, that's impossible. You look at it. I mean, biggest fire I think in America history just happened because we don't have water. Because we're not having the rain. And if you want hot all the time, you're living a fantasy. Like seriously. I hate when it's hot in the summer and I hate when it's cold in the wait. I hate when it's hot in the winter and I hate when it's cold in the summer. Because there has been sometimes in California where we have cold summers and it rains and you're like, "Oh, this is a bummer." But that hasn't happened in a long time. So, um, yeah. So, not good. Not good that we don't have the rain that we should be having. And I mean, the result are, you know, clear that people like David Lynch, who was on the older side, 78, not the oldest, but it's old, it's getting up there, and having emphysema like he has, um, it's not good. If you're an older person, senior citizen or whatever, that's not a good thing. Um, thank you for the nice talk, man. Let's pray that Mother Nature. Oh wait, she's doing knows what she's doing. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think this is Mother Nature's problem, but I'm not going to get into it. This is not a political channel, and I certainly don't want to rock any boats out there right now. That's not what this channel is about. But yeah, I hope something comes about. I hope rain comes about soon. Um, and yeah, that's all we can do is just hope. You know, there's nothing we can do outside of that, except for wait and just like I hope it rains some soon. I don't know. Certainly don't want any more fires. I'm glad that the fires did not affect my area. I live in LA County, but there's a lot of LA County that didn't get affected by it. The most that the most that happened was probably a smoky day here and there, which is bad for some people that have breathing problems. But I I just but that was about it in my area. It was yeah we had some smoky days and it was not the best air quality. You just wear a mask if you go outside. Like I said, I do have a video on it. I did go up to the Palisades, which is part of one of the areas that's the worst part of it was the Palisades. I tried to capture as much as I could without running into road closures because there was a lot of road closures. I did my best, but there was too many road closures. I couldn't go beyond. I was just out of reach of one fire, but they had the road blocked off, and I was like, oh man, I really just want to capture like one fire, not in a statistic, not in an evil way, but sometimes when you can't say a word, it's just you got to move on to the next. But not in an evil way. I didn't want to catch. I just wanted to kind of document what was going on. That was it. So it wasn't like the biggest loss. I don't want to see destruction. I don't. It's not my thing. I'm not into seeing people get hurt or anything like that. But I did want to document it just to kind of show people that aren't in the area how bad it was, and that's all I wanted to do. Um, and I know there were other stars that were affected too. I want to say, um, who else? Who else? Who else's house? I think caught fire. There were a few other actors I want to say came out and said that their house was burnt down, and it's terrible. Um, who was it? Was it Tom Hanks? Tom Hanks say his house burnt down? I can't remember. I think that Tom Hanks may have been one of the people that he had at least evacuate. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't want to put out the wrong information, but I know there were some other actors that came out and said that their house was in jeopardy anyway, you know. But it's a sad thing, man, because I mean, people were trying to put it out with their own hose, their own garden hose, you know. Oh yeah, yes, Steve Guttenberg from Police Academy. Yeah, 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 yeah. I he did his house burn down. I know he was on the news. I saw that. I didn't really listen to what he was saying, but I know he came out was talking about something. So yeah, that sucks that his house burnt down though, man. If it did, I mean, you know, I hope a lot of people also lost their insurance around the same time. I mean, it was what you would call the perfect storm type thing, you know, as because you had high winds, some of the highest winds that we've had in a long time. Yeah, James Wood, I think, also lost his home. Um, you had the highest winds I think we've had in a long time. Excuse me. And on top of that, you had a lot of people lose their insurance, from my understanding, a month before that. Um, and then obviously one of the biggest fires in America, I believe, at least recorded history. Um, yeah, in recorded history, this was, I think, was the biggest fire um, ever, bigger than the fires in Chicago, I guess. And yeah, it's crazy. And not only was it the Palisades too, it was also over there by Pasadena. There was a bunch of different fires. The I don't think that they're even. I don't even think the Palisades fire is completely out yet. I know they said that they have control of the fire now, so that's good news. After the winds died down, because the reason why these fires got so out of hand was because of the wind. Now, the obviously the wind will push fires and make it grow much faster. But on top of that, you cannot have helicopters and jets and planes flying over these fires in that heavy wind and expect to put anything out. You can't. I mean, you you try to dump water on something with those 80 a mile 80 miles per hour winds, 100-mile per hour winds, and you're dumping that stuff, it's not going to hit the target. Not only that, who can fly a jet or a helicopter? A helicopter wouldn't even be able to withstand that kind of weather. um Not the kind of helicopters they were using. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there were some pretty heavy duty helicopters, but even those, there was no way. So they were really, like I said, it was kind of like the perfect storm, I guess you could say, of just horrible things that just kind of all happened at the same time. Yeah, there was really nothing they could have done about that. There was and dry conditions, and that's all. I mean, if it rained, this would have never happened. If we had rain like we usually would have around October, November, December, into January, February, and kind of taper out, and you know, that this none of this would have happened. But we didn't get any rain this year. There was no saving anything this year. We didn't have anything. We don't even have any snow in the mountains. It's like I think we might have a little bit way up there, but I ain't gonna do nothing for around here. Family member lived out there. I took a picture from the hospital. She works. Oh, she works at the Palisade Fire. Okay, so she works in a hospital. Sorry, this text is like the worst. I wish there was a way that I can bump these texts up because they're so hard to read. They're tiny for me anyway. I probably need glasses, reading glasses. But yeah, that's crazy. And so she sent you the she was working in the hospital and she took fires. I mean, she took photos of the Palisades fire. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I was thinking that I would do another video, but of going up there and just kind of filming the aftermath, but I don't think I have to. And nobody watches my videos on like that kind of stuff anyway. They want to watch my pop culture videos, so I tend to stay away from filming stuff like that. I just the algorithm is tough on YouTube. If you mess with the algorithm in any way, oh, did somebody leave something goofy? Thank you, Kevin. Um, if you make a video of anything, um, and it does poorly, um, it affects your whole channel. And I've learned that over the years that you don't want to play around with the algorithm too much. That's why I've kind of stuck with just doing pop culture, because anytime I do any kind of disaster videos of say Palisades or anything like that, it gets the worst views. And I think it's just because my audience are just like, I don't know, I don't want to watch that. So it's like, uh, yeah, and also it was just drowned. It was drowned out by a bunch of other people doing Palisade Fire stuff. So I think I'm gonna leave all that alone. I'm not gonna go up there and do any kind of. I'm not gonna do any kind of stuff like aftermath stuff or anything. Nobody, nobody watches my stuff when I do that anyway. So I'm gonna stick with what I do. I think best, and that's my pop culture stuff. Um, you know, even though like my channel has grown twice its size within this past year, I still don't have. I'm still pretty relatively a small channel. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the question because the question is, I just came into the stream. What is your favorite David Lynch film of all time? And I mentioned it. Well, Racerhead is my second favorite. I really liked Lost Highway. I just really liked. I liked the fact that there was like this protagonist and antagonist kind of element to Lost Highway, but it never took it so far to where it got like any like goofiness going on. It was just a really and it was a bizarre kind of back and forth, and it was just so interesting. Is the best way I can look at it, and the fact that it was just kind of like almost dreamlike too. It was kind of I do look at a lot of David Lynch's movies as almost like kind of like a fever dream, just because it's like what would happen in your dream is like you're having a dream and you're having a dream of you and somebody else, and then all of a sudden that somebody else is somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And the fact that like halfway through the movie, like the character becomes somebody else is like, yeah, that's exactly how a dream would be. You know, it's like that's exactly how I would have a dream. Like your dream just kind of snaps and it's changed. But I really like that one. I like the dynamics between the characters in that movie too. For which one? Let's see, let me see if I can move this. Can I move this? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the thing that he, yeah, I don't know. I guess he, I like I was talking about with him, um, when I was talking about him earlier. He was saying in 2024 that he was having problems breathing, and he even told the press too that he was kind of homebound, and that he was afraid to go outside. So um, it sucks, man. I knew that he was having problems. I knew that he was having like breathing problems and stuff. I heard it on the radio. I remember I was listening to the radio, and they one of the things that they brought up during their little news break was that David Lynch said that he couldn't go outside anymore, and I was like, ah, that sucks, you know. And it was also they were talking about how if he was ever going to make another movie, and he even said that he probably wasn't going to make another movie. Um, that sucks, man. Yeah, I was. This is like one of those that hit hard. Um, Shannon Doherty was one that hit hard too. Like when some of these actors and creative people pass away, man, some of them just hit harder than others. And David Lynch, for me, it hit pretty hard. I was like, oh man, and so funny because I wanted to do a filming location of Eraserhead, but there's just not that many of them. There's not enough like areas of Eraserhead. It's all kind of filmed in one area, and you can't even get to it. It's part of the Doheny Mansion over there in Beverly Hills, and unfortunately, the stables the stables were the backdrop of most of Eraserhead. They filmed most of that movie in there, and I wanted to do a filming location, but I found out that you can't even get back there. You can see it through a gate. I could look at it, but who wants to just look at it from a gate? You know, you want to get up on it, you want to film different parts of it and stuff, and I just couldn't do it. So, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, man. When they die too young, I mean, David Lynch wasn't that young, but it still hits you, though, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of actors and like a lot of actors in 2024 that passed away that were from my childhood, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like young, like Shannon Doherty was like 50, what 53, 54 or something like that. She wasn't that old, and just to see somebody like that pass away, and you used to watch her regularly on TV, it's just it's incredibly sad. Um, Matthew Perry was another one. Matthew Perry, man, that was heartbreaking too, because he really just didn't have to die. Like I I would say that Matthew, like Shannon Doherty, super sad. But she had cancer. She had a terminal illness, and she was gonna die. I mean, when cancer returns, I hate to say this because it's just sad to think about, but if cancer returns, it's almost impossible to get rid of it the second time. She was 53. See, that's what I mean. That's not that old, man. You know. Um, and same with Matthew Perry. I mean, he was older, but not by that much. Not by too much. He wasn't. Matthew Perry, that could have been completely taken care of if someone in his life was actually watching over him properly. The sad thing about Matthew Perry is he was taken advantage of, and like people saw a sick man and they took advantage of his sickness. He was not he was an alcoholic. He was a drug user and stuff, and doctor doctor drug dealer took advantage of that. You know, and it was that's just horrible. And so, I mean, he got hooked on ketamine, and he was he was getting it from a doctor, but the doctor was just a shady ass. You know, he was a shady ass mofo, and I hope that guy gets a lot of time in jail, in prison, and I'm glad they caught him too. But on top of that, though, man, it's just terrible to take advantage of somebody's sickness like that, and make money off of them. You know, because I mean, Matthew Perry was you get in that like desperate moments and stuff, and take advantage of that kind of moment is just gross and nasty. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, I can't believe so many Richard Simmons passed away. Richard Simmons, yeah, he was in his 70s. He wasn't like super old or anything, but like just so many people, man. So many people passed away last year. Can't even keep up with how many people passed away last year. Yeah, Lewis. Yeah, I had to have something like that happen where you're like you say that you were watching Friends. You just literally um you were watching Friends at the time he passed away, and that is a weird experience when like especially when if you didn't watch Friends for a long time, and then you watch Friends, like say you didn't watch Friends for like I don't know, it's been 6 years since I've seen Friends. I want to watch Friends. And you start watching it, and then one of the actors pass away while you're watching it. Yeah, that is weird, and I think I've had similar experiences. Sorry, my foot itches. I've had similar experiences where you don't think about something, and then the minute you start thinking about something, something pops up. I was thinking like the other day, I was looking up a channel, and it was an ex friend of mine, and this has nothing to do with like celebrity death or anything, but I just checked in on his channel. You know, we were kind of friends for a while there. Channel to channel friend type thing, and I just checked in on his channel, and then you know, and then I posted something, and not long after I posted it, that guy that I went and looked at his channel showed up and wrote something. And it was like, yeah, absolutely, Greg. I absolutely agree with him. I'm like, wait. Did you see that did you somehow see that I came onto your channel just to check out what was going on? And then you popped up? It's just like that's kind of like that similar thing you were talking about, Lewis. But yeah, man, it's crazy how the world works like that sometimes, where it's just very coincidental type thing where you're like, huh? I just was thinking about you, or I was just looking at your channel, or whatever. Yeah, all the time. I mean, or you're talking about somebody and they show up behind you. You're like, whoa, whoa, what is going on here? Yeah, yeah, that happens. It happens more than I think we would like, right? But God, I remember like Bob Saget passed away in 2003. I think was that the same year David Bowie passed away. Um, but 2004, and it was all around the same kind of month, just like celebrity death after death for different reasons. But like it was just crazy how many people passed away. Well, I think I'm talking to zero people now, so probably should wrap this up. But yeah, rest in peace, David Lynch, one of the all-time best directors. Hello, hello, how are you doing? Just about to wrap things up. Seems like everybody has abandoned the talks. So, oh, was he that long ago? David Bowie was 2016. Bob Saget. Well, he was the end of 2020, wasn't he? 2022. I did a video after he passed away. I actually have a video on his gravesite. Was that 2022? Okay, you know what? You're right. It was 2022. Oh man. But I think I did the video in 2023. I don't know, man. Time is just going by so quick. David Bowie was 2016? That one hit hard, man. I'll tell you, man, David Bowie kind of always, like, I didn't really see him too much when he was, you know, near the end of his death. But for whatever reason, David Bowie was always very young, kind of like in my mind. And when he passed away, I was really surprised because I was like, what are you talking? Wait, no. No, there's no way David Bowie could be dead. He's too young. But no, he was actually not that young. But I don't know why David Bowie was always just like kind of young at heart or something. Which, by the way, Wild at Heart. I didn't even talk about that one. Wild at Heart, man. That's with Nicolas Cage. That one just popped up in my brain right now. Wild at Heart is a crazy movie. Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is a crazy mother in that. He's a crazy mofo in that one. That's a good movie, by the way. That one just popped up. That's a really good movie. Has anybody seen Wild at Heart? That's a David Lynch movie. I said Young at Heart, and I was like, boom, wait, I didn't bring up Wild at Heart. Yeah, good movie. That was a good movie too. It's not my favorite, but it's a good one. Um, yeah, the dynamics between Willem Dafoe and yeah, it's really good. And Willem Dafoe does not. It doesn't end well for him. It does not end well for Willem Dafoe. Oh, okay. Yeah. I knew it was in January. January 22nd. Okay. So I did a video on him in January 22nd. That was actually first video that actually kind of blew up on my channel. It didn't really get that many views. I mean, in terms of like the views I have on some of my other videos now, but that was the first video that I was like, I should probably just do pop culture because I was doing pop culture and Americana, and the Americana videos just weren't doing very well. Americana meaning like old kind of Western towns and like old relics like the Queen Mary. And it wasn't until like I did my Bob Saget video that I was like, oh, people are more interested in this than the Queen Mary, at least on my channel. But yeah, that's crazy. Time has just flown by, man. I really can't believe that he died in 2016, David Bowie. That's crazy. Man. So many years is just flying by. I was still living in the Bay Area when that happened. I used to live in San Francisco. 2016, I was still in San Francisco. That's crazy. That's so nuts. Man, I can't believe how fast time flies. When you think about it, you're like, no way. Anyway, I'm having my own little flip out moment here. Just how fast time flies. Anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna call it. if anybody has anything else to say about David Lynch, um, Lewis, if you're still on here, what was your favorite movie? I don't know if you ever said it. You asked me what my favorite movie was. If you have one, I'd love to hear about it. Um, yeah, but yeah, Wild at Heart though, just real quick though, Wild at Heart is a freaking ride, man. I don't know. I want to say that was before Blue Velvet, right? Well, Mulholland Drive's your favorite. Yeah, it seems to be everybody's favorite. A lot of people like Mulholland Drive. Um, I don't know which one came out first. If Wild at Heart came out first or Blue Velvet came out first. I think Wild at Heart came out first, but I could be wrong on that. But both of those movies are fantastic. Those are really good movies. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't think I have much more to say. Um, guys, appreciate it. Rest in peace, David Lynch. You too, Kevin. Have a good one, man. Thank you for showing up too, Kevin. You're my only mod, man. I haven't. Nobody else shows up as much as you do. So, uh, so I'll keep you as the one and only mod until more people start showing up regularly. But anyway, guys, Lewis, Kevin, anybody else that's still in the chat, please hit that like button just to get this out there. You know, maybe some people want to hear a long video about David Lynch. Rest in peace, David Lynch. I'm probably going to go watch some of his movies. I might go revisit Twin Peaks. Yes, rest in peace, David Lynch. Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Anybody that shows up, hits that like button. And it's dear to my heart, guys. Okay. And I want you guys to have a good weekend because it is Friday. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I'm probably going to do a edited video this weekend. Please, if you're new here, consider subscribing, checking out my videos. It's all pop culture now, most of it anyway. At least 90% of my videos are about pop culture and stuff. There might be some future videos, edited videos on David Lynch later. I'd love to do filming locations of David Lynch movies. I've been wanting to do them, but I haven't gotten around to it. There's a lot of things I want to do on this channel. So if you guys want to stick around, please subscribe. I guarantee not perfection, but I do guarantee that I give it my all, man. When I put out a video, I tried to give everybody a good experience. And last question, where do you think he will be buried in Los Angeles? Which famous cemetery? I don't know. I'm going to keep my eye open for that. I'm not sure if he's going to be cremated. He may be cremated and given to family. I don't know. Usually, if somebody is a little more on the religious side or a little bit on the older side, they'll be buried. That's at least the experience that I've been witnessing. Usually younger people get, cremated. It feels like anyway. Even if you're cremated, you can still have a grave site. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that have a grave site and they were cremated. So they just bury the remains and make a, you know, a monument out of that. So who knows? Who knows? I did a video on Dick Dale. And Dick Dale was he was originally cremated, and it wasn't until years later that he actually was put over there at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. I kind of hope he goes to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. That's just my hope. But you know, if he's buried, I'm talking about David Lynch now. But yeah, Dick Dale now has one of those window. Seems to be a thing now where at least over at Hollywood Forever they have a bunch of kind of sectioned out window little cubby hole type things, and they have like a window over them. I think it's kind of cool actually, that you know you can put the urn up there and you can go visit their urn at one of those little things, and I think that's cool. I'm sure other grave sites do that too. um, so yeah, I don't know. My hope is that he's at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, but I think he will probably end up at something. Um, I don't know. I mean, your guess is as good as mine, to be honest. I don't know at this point. Like I said, I don't know if he was religious or if he had any kind of what his beliefs were in that. He didn't really, he was kind of a private person. He never really talked about too much about his life. I mean, I don't, I'll say that I haven't never read any of his books either, so maybe he's said stuff in a book or something. But I have watched a lot of interviews with him, and he usually just talks about his art for the most part. You know, I don't know. I mean, your guess is as good as mine, to be honest. There's so many different celebrity cemeteries in Hollywood. It could be any of them. Or, like I said, maybe his body will be cremated and given to his family, and they'll figure out what they're going to do with it. Anyway, guys, I think this has been, this is the longest video I've done in a while. Um, I will say that David Lynch deserves all the time for sure. So it doesn't bother me that it was longer this time. I hope that his family is, taking the news well. My condolences to his family. And yeah, guys, that's all I got to say. Take care. And I'll either see you in another live video or I'll see you guys in possibly an edited video, which I'm going to be working on one this weekend. Fingers crossed to get to it anyway. I hope I can get to this video this weekend because I want to get back into trying to get a video out a week. Trying, life gets in the way quite a bit. Kind of gets hard sometimes. It gets very difficult to keep up with some stuff sometimes because it's just I put so much time in my edited videos, and it literally takes 3 whole days, a whole day of filming most of the time, and at least 2.5 days of editing. And yeah, it can get really long. So it gets difficult. So I'm trying to think of simpler things I can start filming and just kind of put them up. I'm not trying to cheapen it, but I'm just trying to make it where I can get videos out more often that are not so difficult to edit, and then also continue doing the more difficult edited videos. And then therefore I can kind of have a consistent flow of videos going. Because the past couple of months, I think I put out all of 2, 3 edited videos in 2 months. Not good, but life has been hard, difficult. Life has been difficult lately, and so I'm trying my best. Anyway, guys, I don't want to keep this going on forever. My goodbyes can last forever sometimes. Take care. Have a good weekend. I will see you in the next video, whatever I do, live or an edited video. Take care, guys. Bye.